Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight to talk about orientation in your first year experience. I'm just going to give everybody a couple minutes just to get logged in, take a seat, and then we'll get started in just a couple seconds. But hope everybody out there is having a good night. I'm thrilled to see so many of you people popping on. We're really excited to talk to you tonight. Just Alrighty, well, good evening, everybody. Again, my name is Carrie Abbott, and I'm the director of the Office of First Year and Transfer Programs at Syracuse University. I'm really excited to speak with you tonight to talk to you a little bit about orientation and your first year experience. Tonight, we know you probably have a lot of questions too about what your arrival is going to look like, what the fall semester is going to look like. So we're going to do our best to answer those questions. And I've invited our interim deputy senior vice president, Amanda Mickelson, to join me. Amanda, do you want to quick just say hello?
Yes, I'd love to say hello. Good evening, everybody. It's I wish I could see you all, but thank you so much for joining us. I think we're going to try and give you a little information to begin with, and leave as much time as possible to answer your questions, which I'm sure are many. And we are trying to understand what they're going to be and answer them every day with teams of people to make sure that this is a great opening, even in the time of a pandemic. So it's wonderful to be here, and welcome.
Thank you, Amanda. And Mary Ann Thompson, our Associate Vice President and Dean of Students, I think is going to pop in a little bit to also say hello to you. But we can go and get started. Here. Oh, Mary Ann is here. Yeah. Hi, Mary Ann. Hi. Do you want to just say hi to everybody so they see your face and say hello?
Yeah, I'm Mary Ann Thompson, Dean of Students at Syracuse, and glad to meet all of you tonight. Thank you for taking the time. And as Amanda said, we've been working around the clock to come up with the absolute best plans and options to start the fall, because we are so excited for your students to join us. And so we look forward to answering your questions tonight and getting to know you a little bit better.
Thanks, Mary Ann. So why don't we go ahead and get started? Mike is my helper. And so I'm wondering if you mind changing the slide for me, Mike. And we'll talk just a little bit about what we're going to talk about this evening. So knowing we have a lot of high anticipation questions, what I thought I might do is just talk about what we need to be doing now. And that's regardless of arrival plans and all that stuff. So I'm going to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit more about what orientation is going to look like, what your arrival is going to look like. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about what we're doing right now to help plan for the fall semester. So we'll go ahead and get started just in terms of what can you be doing now to help be prepared to come. So Mike, if you don't mind going to the next one. My biggest piece of advice is always, please check your email account regularly. You need to be checking your Syracuse email account. You're going to get a lot of important communications through that channel and that channel only. You receive newsletters either bi-weekly or soon weekly from my office. And you will also receive important communications from your school or college right now that's particularly around your first term enrollment selection. And then also communications from Bursar financial aid. Everything will go there. So please make it a habit to check that regularly. The other piece of helpful information for you is to take a look at our Becoming Orange website. The link is there, and it's sent, of course, in all of our newsletters. We have really actually worked hard this year to relaunch our website and make it just chock full of really helpful information to guide you from, preparing to arrival and beyond. So we'd love you to take some time to leaf through there. One of the most helpful sections is there's a new student checklist there under Welcome and Getting Started, as it says there. And it tells you what tasks are required, what tasks are optional. It's web-based, and then there's also a printable version if you like to print things off and check them as you complete them. And then another helpful tool there is a packing list. It says what to bring to campus and then things that you shouldn't bring. So take a look at that, and I think you'll find it very helpful. If you want to move on to the next one, just looking at what's happening right now. So the My College Roomie, the roommate selection deadline is actually tomorrow. And we know that most of you have gone in and taken a look at that space, but I just wanted to include a reminder that that is due tomorrow. After the roommate selection portion of the program does close, you can continue to use the space to talk to your roommates or other students and kind of use it as just a gathering place. So we welcome you to continue to go in there. Similarly, the housing application is also due June 1st. Students can continue to fill it out after that date, but the June 1 deadline really helps prioritize that you're going to get your housing assignment in a timely fashion by that July 15th date. Also, June 1st is a deadline to waive the health insurance. So there's a lot of information on the health insurance linked from Becoming Orange and then takes you over to the Barnes Center at the Arch website. But what might be a bit confusing is that you can either elect to use our insurance, or if you have insurance that meets the New York State standards, you can actually waive out of it. You can, if you do that process this week, the premium will not appear on your June 1st Bursar bill. You have until September to do that, but if you don't do it now, the charge will still appear on your Bursar bill. So I just wanted to point that out because sometimes that's a source of confusion for students and families. So that date is June 1st. The other big thing that you should be working on right now, I hope, is your first term course selection. So all of you should have received communications from your school or college. You'll be completing that process right now, following the directions to select your courses, input your AP scores, take placement exams if those are relevant for you. So you will need to complete those by June 12th. So let's see. I see a lot of questions coming up here. So let me look real quick. Okay, so the first question here is when do we get our residence hall assignments? That is going to be on July 15th. That is assuming that you've met that June 1st deadline. My College Roommate is accessed through MySlice in your student living portal, your My Housing portal. If for some reason the link to that you can't find there, our office would be happy to email it to you, and I'll make sure you have my email at the end. Will all students be in a single room? That's a great question, and I think that we'll talk about that maybe a little bit more about what the plans are for housing in just a little bit. The waiver for health insurance, there's a question about that here. That is linked under the required tests and Becoming Orange, so you can take a look for that there. Housing application, where's the housing application? That is also in the housing portal in MySlice. If we don't use My College Roomie, are we just paired randomly with someone? Yes, we will manage that for you, so you don't have to go through that. I love this eclectic array of questions. Will the water filling stations be available, or should students bring water? Yes, please bring a refillable water bottle because we have stations like that all over campus. When should we expect to hear from our academic advisor? That you should be receiving communications from your school or college right now pertinent to that first term enrollment selection. So you should be receiving emails from your advising office now. Okay. Wow. Financial aid. Tell you what, why don't I hit pause here and we will come back to some of these in a couple minutes, but I love all the questions that are coming in. Let's talk a little bit about orientation and arrival, because I know this has been a bit of a source of confusion for students, particularly because the academic start date has been moved up a week. So what does that mean for all of us? That also is further complicated by the fact that move-in needs to look a little different this year because of social distancing standards, right? We're all getting used to standing in line, 6 feet behind somebody and wearing masks at the store and all those kinds of things. So we're working as a team to put together a plan that will need to be approved by the university, by the county, by the state, to ensure that your move-in experience is a safe one for both the students and the parents and the rest of the community. So The first thing I do have a note here is that students should not plan to bring more than 2 guests to campus. I realize that that probably is difficult as, you know, some of you have, you know, thought of other plans of bringing the family in to settle your student in, but we really need to reduce the density of the number of people in the residence halls and on campus. And that really, again, is for everyone's safety. So we've put that request in for the no more than 2 guests. The other piece of that puzzle is that we are asking families to leave after they've dropped off the student. We're going to talk a little bit about family orientation in a minute. To kind of help ease some of that burden, we are working on a plan for you to be able to ship items to the university between July 20th and August 10th. And we will work with university staff to have those delivered to your room. So I think that that's a really great option for any student, but particularly some of you who might be on the West Coast, who you know, would need to go out and buy everything when you get here. This way we can help you and have it be available in your room. We're finalizing those plans right now, and we'll make more information available to you soon on how you can elect to do that. Our new student move-in we're going to do through August 17th to 20th. We may have some other options in there as well. I know there's a lot of interest from many of you, and we've heard from you that you need to know what day you're moving in so that you can make appropriate plans. And I want you to know that we hear you. And so we're working really hard to finalize how that process is going to work. Again, we have to have some levels of approval with that. So as soon as I know more, we will share it with you immediately, but there will be a process where you can let us know when you'd like to come. I think what I'd ask though is that you understand this is a really atypical year. So we really can only move in so many people in a period of time in order to maintain that safety and that social distancing. So, you know, it may not be your first choice for what time of day you'd like to come in or what day, but it's not a space where we would have wiggle room because we are, you know, having to meet certain standards, but we can talk more about that as well. So the Syracuse Welcome itself is going to take place August 20th through 23rd. So Mike, if you don't mind, we'll go on to the next slide so we can talk a little bit more about that. So we're gonna do our best to replicate the in-person parent and family orientation in an online experience. Amanda and Marianne, who are joining me, are going to be integral to that process, but we really want to create a calendar of programs for our parent and families that really help you learn what you need to know about the university and getting your students started. And we are also working with our school college partners to make sure that they are also hosting parent and family welcome meetings online as well. So we're finalizing that schedule and we'll have it available to you soon. Marianne, I certainly don't want to put you on the spot, but I was just wondering if there's anything that you might like to add about some of the goals we're trying to achieve with the parent orientation session that we're going to be offering online.
Yeah, I would just say that with Parent and Family Services, our main goal is that we are partners with you all through this process. And so Parent and Family Orientation is a piece of that. And we will get a lot of questions answered, and it'll make you feel not alone because you'll realize that other people are also wondering these things. But we are also available for individual questions, conversations over the phone, email, all of those things. We really see parents as partners. And if you're comfortable and you have your questions answered, your student is going to do better. And so we are all on the same team. And Parent and Family Services is just a really good one-stop for all of you.
Marianne, thanks for that. Really appreciate it. And so then for our students, we are working really hard to create a welcoming and exciting orientation experience for you, knowing that, again, that we are under unique circumstances. So we're working hard to schedule as many programs in person as we can, trying to learn more about capacity and social distancing and what that looks like. So we're working on that right now. We will also have some sessions that will be presented to you virtually. Some of that will be before you arrive, and some of that will be when you get on campus. So working very hard with all of our campus partners to put that schedule together for you. And when we have it available, we'll be sending it out shortly thereafter. Let's see. Mike, do you want to go on to the next one? I'm gonna ask Amanda and Marianne to talk a little bit more about this portion. So, families or students have been really asking us, like, how are we getting ready for the fall? What safety measures are we putting in place? What are we looking at? And so hopefully many of you got an email that came out from our Vice Chancellor, Haney. Dr. Haney came out this afternoon with some really helpful information. But I've asked Marianne and Amanda to join us so they can maybe tell us a little bit more about what we're looking at. So I don't know how we want to start. Maybe with the student living portion, Marianne, that would be a good piece for you to talk a little bit about some high-level information there.
Yeah, so high level is that we've been considering all possibilities for the last 2 months, I would say. And with the goal of students staying healthy and having a good living experience, is that we want to create community. We know that that's part of the point of going to college and part of the point of living. And so we are not going to create situations where students are not interacting with each other, but we're going to create situations where students are safely interacting with each other. The other piece that we've learned, and many of you all have learned this through your various networks, is it really is all about testing and tracing, and then being able to quarantine and isolate as quickly as you need to. And so we are ramping up amazing capacity to be able to test, trace, and then quarantine and isolate as soon as possible so that we can stop any potential spread that happens. So we are hoping for best case scenario, but obviously have that's not our only plan. And we are planning for a number of contingencies as schools should be doing. And so I feel confident in the level of our planning with where we are in the summer, given that we still have a little bit of time. And we are making sure that we make decisions in the right order. So we're first trying to decide how can we keep the spaces as safe as possible. We're going to do a walkthrough with our health services team and communications team to make sure that we've made all modifications to the residence halls that we need to before we start, that there's good signage and all of those things. So really working collaboratively across the university to make sure that your students feel safe and confident when they start.
Thank you, Marianne. Let's see. Amanda, do you want to talk a little bit about what we've been considering with classroom space?
Sure. So we've done an entire inventory of all the classroom and other spaces that we might be able to hold classes or testing or whatever in across the campus. So we've done an entire inventory, and we've also worked out in each space how many people we could put in that space safely, using the current guidelines of 6-foot distancing all the way around. So obviously that reduces the capacity of getting everybody in class at the same time. That's not going to be possible. But we want to do this with as much in-person class time as we can. So we're trying to find a hybrid balance between having students, for example, in one course, they might be in class on a Tuesday and in the library online on a Thursday, separated safely. And then the other half of their class would be in the class on Thursday, who'd be in the library on Tuesday. And that's what we're looking at. So we're trying to make sure that we're doing this safely, and that every classroom will have the technology it needs to be able to do this well, whether it's Zoom technology, there's another Cultura technology we're looking at right now. So there's all kinds of technology enhancements we need so that this can be done well, and I think in an engaging manner. We know from experience that the best way of pedagogy depends on interaction, right? It's not a one-way, asynchronous kind of delivery, and if it is, that can be okay, but it's not ideal. So the idea of having a give and take is really important. So we have a team of about 35 who are working on how to do this. That includes everybody from the registrar, the person in charge of campus planning and design, 3 deans, 4 or 5 faculty members, the provost, and everybody working on trying to make, that's one of the subcommittees, to do the best job we can with this hybrid model of in-person and online instruction in a safe manner. So we're still working on this 6-foot guideline. That may change, but that's what we have to prepare for. and have the county approve us to open. And so those are the guidelines we're living by.
Great.
I just
Thank
want,
you.
maybe I should add one thing. There will not be a class that we offer that's not also online. So let me explain why, for lots of reasons. Okay, we have, supposing a student does get sick or is suspected that they might be sick and they need to be quarantined or they need to be isolated, we have to make accommodations for that. We just have to. Even though most 18 to 22-year-olds are not in the danger zone at all, that doesn't make any difference. They do get sick sometimes, right? So we are working on a off-campus, close but off-campus facility that we could be in isolation, which we would run with our teams, which would be a isolation and quarantine area. So if a student has to go there because they start running a high temperature and, you know, they test positive or whatever the reason, we need them to be able to, wherever possible, continue their studies if they can. We need them to be able to access the learning that they've already started. We don't want them to feel like, okay, now I can't do anything for the next 14 days, even though I feel fairly okay, but I'm stuck here. So we're trying to make sure that everything that we offer has an online component as a backup for it, whatever it is that we're offering. So that's 6,000 different sections of courses. Just, it's a lot.
Amanda, thank you very much for that. If we might just want to move on to the next section, we're going to talk about a few other things, which includes health and safety, and then just what we're doing for programming. I don't, either of you, I'm not sure who would like to start, but some of the things that we've talked about are just screening, testing, face masks, what we're expecting with that. So I don't know, if you want to start, Marianne can just add to it.
Sure. So basically screening is really important. We're going to screen the entire student population as they come to us. That's the first and best thing we can do. We need to screen everybody. We're screening all our staff as they come back onto campus within the next 2 months. Most of us are still working remotely. So screening is really, really important. We are very fortunate, just to let you know, here in Onondaga County. It's a relatively rural area outside of the city of Syracuse, and some of you probably know it already. Hopefully you came for a campus tour before the great shutdown, but it's quite rural. So our incidence of the disease have been very low. And I know many of you come from counties that have been pretty high, you know, outside the New York City area. So we have to screen for everybody. And we have to also discourage people coming on and off campus, especially from areas outside the county. That is our biggest danger zone, that people will come in, right? So we will have fabulous lecturers and everything else, as we always do, but we're going to probably have them on huge screens in Hendricks Chapel, but not there in person. I'm just going to tell you, because it's just too dangerous right now to do it any other way. So a lot of screening, a lot of testing. We have actually some proprietary testing we're going to be using that's been developed at SU, which tests the wastewater of every residence building that we have and can detect the COVID virus immediately. So we'd know if any residence hall had any COVID in it, and we'd know where to start screening and testing students. We will be testing everyone as they come in, and we will be asking students to be willing to be randomly tested, because we need to do that to make sure that we can generalize our findings and figure out that we are safe. That's really important. We will be requiring face masks all the time, unless obviously in your own room you don't have to wear a face mask, but we'll require them in classes. We'll require them walking around the campus, just like you and I do as we go to the grocery store. I mean, this is the same thing. And we will have a huge health promotion campaign on campus. And Marianne is very involved in this with me and the communications team, reminding people, because people forget. I get that. Sometimes I'm halfway to Wegmans and I'm like, oh, do I have my mask in my purse? I have to turn around and go back and get it. So, you know, we get it. So we're going to have lots of, you know, do you have your mask with you as on the door of every residence hall as they leave, so that you go like, oh my goodness, I got to run back and get that. And there'll be tons of sanitizing stations with alcohol wipes and everything else that we need to make sure that students keep this up. The students, as I mentioned, are relatively, they're certainly not immune, but the incidences are low. Our staff and faculty incidences, though, are going to be a lot higher, right? So we're trying to protect, and the community that lives around the campus. So this is going to be a big community effort. The staff, the faculty, the students, everybody, we're all in this together. This is not going to be like we're being punitive to the students. That's not, we're all having to take the same precautions to stay safe, all of us. It's like a family deal, just like you do at your house when you have to go out. So that's what we're going to do. So let me turn it over to Marianne. She can give you some more details.
Yeah, so I think Amanda pretty much covered it, but I would say, again, this is the priority, and we are continuing to follow the best of the best that's out there, and we will do the best of the best that's out there. There is a mix between allowing independence and not wanting to run the university like a, situation where everyone has to tell us every minute where they're going to be. So there is that inherent tension. And we're going to try to strike that balance. We're having a lot of debates and a lot of conversation around that of how do you create the independent college student experience that all of you want for your students while also doing this as a community. And I will say of all the universities I've been to, Syracuse has more school spirit than anywhere else. And so if anyone can do something as a community, we can do something as a community. And we will figure this out.
Thank you. So do we want to talk to just a little bit about, the social programs, like what we're trying to do to kind of help keep students engaged during the academic year? We're talking a lot about that as a team in enrollment and student experience, seeing how we can make some things available for students to do, virtually, but also try to do as much in person as we can. I know Amanda feels really passionate about this, and I don't want to put her on the spot, but I don't know, maybe you might want to just make a quick comment about the hard work everyone's doing.
Yeah, so, so never leave a good emergency, never leave it on the table. Use it as a way to try and think of new things you could do to make things interesting. We know we can't gather tons of people together and squash them in like we've always done. That's not going to work. So what could work that would be interesting and engaging for our students? So we've had lots of ideas. We're still developing them. I think we're going to have sort of engagement stations set up around the university, north, south, east, west, and on the quad, where activities will be going on in the evenings and at the weekends. Marianne and I'm going to hand it over to her in a minute because we had a really great first and second meeting with the athletics department. Now the athletics department, just so you know, are going to be piloting all these health and safety issues as they bring the football team on in the next 2 weeks. And then some other team and some other team. And don't ask me which ones come next because I can never remember. But anyway, they're all coming on in various stages. And they're going to have to practice and live and eat and do all the things that our regular students are going to have to do in August. So we're sort of using them a little bit like the test bunnies on this and making sure we can do this right. The athletics team are phenomenal. They are the Yes We Can team, we call them. They can do anything. So Marianne and I went to visit them the other day because we thought, like, one of the things that attract students to SU are the athletics, right? Even if you don't play them, there are a lot of our students play athletics and did a lot of it in high school, as I'm sure some of you do who are listening. So how can we maybe bring those two ends of the campus together a little bit more? So I'm going to hand it over to Marianne. She can fill you in.
Yeah, so on the athletics piece, one of the things is we all miss live sports. And athletics is certainly interested in bringing interest to sports other than football and basketball and lacrosse. And so making sure that, yes, we have a great basketball and football and lacrosse experience, but we also are supporting all of our other student athletes in ways that actually might be more possible for social distancing. So it's definitely a one university approach to this. And I will say what we're trying to do in terms of student engagement is not just hey, here's an old program that we used to do that was super fun when you could have 1,000 people do it together. How do we put it on Zoom and so everyone just watches it in their room? That is not the plan for student engagement in the fall. The plan for student engagement in the fall is really innovative, interesting programs that will probably be done in smaller groups, which for first year students is probably better anyway, because you're actually creating community and having good conversation and connection with students. And so I think for our first year students especially, the smaller group environment within a larger community with a spirit will be actually a very nice mix. We are thinking about the residence halls as a family unit. And so we will think more, which we already wanted to feel like home for our students. And so that we'll be able to leverage that a little bit in terms of programming in the residence halls, and we're trying to think of more spaces to be able to open up on campus. And one of the nice things about coming back a week early, I don't know how many of you spent time in Central New York in the summer, but it's absolutely magical. So we will have an extra week of warm weather, which is a lot. And so we are thinking about creating additional outdoor spaces that are fun to be in. Sorry, dog and kids here. Just opening up a lot of new ideas. So we're not very concrete, and I wish I could give you more examples right now, but we first need to plan these safety and health things. And then the engagement, kind of nailing all of that down will come next.
Thank you both. Oh, Amanda, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, we're also looking at, you know, when the dome does reopen, which is going to open, I think, I don't know exactly when, but it's not going to be open when everybody comes, but it'll be open a few weeks later. I think we're looking at our students will be the audience for the big games. They will take priority. We can't fill the dome because of the spacing. That's just too unsafe. I think it's something like 8,000 people we can get in the dome very safely. I think that's the number. Please don't quote me on that because I might be wrong, but it's like a third of what we normally do or less, right? So, but we're going to go with those spaces primarily for students because we do have a wonderful community that supports the games here in Syracuse, but our students on campus are going to be our first priority. If there's a seat, it will be a seat for a student first. And that's what we want to do. So yes, there will be games, and yes, students will be watching them, just so you know, if there are any sports fans out there.
Thank you both. I feel like Mary and Amanda and I are all just really people persons, and so like it's a challenge for me not to be in the same room with all of you, and I'm seeing all these wonderful questions come in and doing my best to answer some of them, but there's a few themes that are coming up that I thought the three of us could just address. So one, definitely about athletics. I think you've talked about that, you know, what is our game schedule going to look like, and getting the stadium open, and so thank you for talking about that. Some folks are asking about what the drop-off experience is going to look like. So as I said, we're looking at that right now and figuring out the best way to get you in and safe and moved in. So some folks are asking if parents are allowed in the buildings and allowed to help set up the rooms. So my current answer to that question is yes, we are planning to allow you to do that pending the county and the city and the state telling us we can't do that. I think the thing I'd like you all to consider is that the goal would be to come in and get set up and then and not stay, you know, for sometimes people stay for several days and a lot of in and out of the residence halls. And the thing we just really have to consider is on a typical move-in day, there'd be hundreds of people in our residence hall lobbies. And, you know, our current situation, like it's safest for everybody not to replicate that. So I guess I ask that we all keep that in mind. Like I said, I'm trying to work with our campus partners to do some things that will help. So for example, if you're thinking about running to Target when you get to the room because you're flying in and you can't pre-buy things, I really invite you to have them shipped to the university and let us deliver those for you. That'll take a stress off of you of having to go and run errands and come back. The other thing I'm working on for you is having books delivered to your residence hall room as well. So the Bookstore actually has a really great service once your class schedule is available, which will be August 3rd. You can go onto their website, select your books, put them in a shopping cart. They will box them all up for you. And then this year, I'm hopeful that those boxes will then actually be in your room when you arrive. So we're trying to do what we can to help making that settling in process as easy as possible under these circumstances. A lot of questions about masks and if we're distributing them to students and how many and what kind. So I'm going to let Dr. Mickelson talk about that because we've been talking a lot about masks on campus. If you don't mind, Amanda.
I got a mask update today, so I'm all about.
Oh, all right.
All right. Yes, we will. We'd like everyone to come to campus with masks on, but we will be giving every student some masks. Okay. Probably 2 masks. They will be washable so that you can wash one while you're wearing the other. They will be of the highest quality and the most protective. Now, there will be, there's tons of masks out there. There's cute ones and funny ones and Gucci ones and all the rest of it. I'm afraid we're not doing Gucci masks because they're just a little over our price point, but we will be doing masks. They will be waiting for you, and we will ask you to wear them. Now, we will ask the faculty to wear them. We will ask all the staff to wear them. This is not just for students. Everyone will look like a bunch of bandits running around campus because that's what we're all going to look like because that's what we have to do. We will make sure that everyone's got one on. So we are working on a sort of a responsibility contract for ourselves, for our students, for our staff and our faculty, which is what we're all going to pledge to do, right? Pledge to wear a mask, pledge to stay 6 foot away from each other, pledge not to crowd into tight spaces with lots of people, just normal, sensible things. And, I think, yes, it's a little restrictive, but we can't have parties with hundreds of kids crammed into houses. That is so dangerous. And we just can't do it. If that happens, we will be in terrible trouble and the students will be too. I know that's, part of the college experience, but we need to tell you up front what this is going to be like. And it's going to be for everybody. And we will give you absolute clear guidelines way before you get here so you can look at them. But as Marianne said, while we have to put in sensible restrictions to keep everybody safe on campus, we will do everything we can at the same time to make this an engaging experience. It's not going to be just, let's make a list of all the things we can't do and leave it at that. No, that's not what we're trying to do. We know things we can't do, but so what are we going to be able to do to make this fun and engaging for students when they arrive here? So we're trying to, as Marianne said, balance these 2 things between safety and student engagement, but masks will be provided, yes. And I'm sure we'll have all kinds of especially fancy-dancy branded masks that will come up for various things, but the official issue of the SU masks will be given to all students when they come on campus.
Amanda, thank you for that. And I think similarly, in terms of the masks and the social distancing, I also am seeing some questions about dining centers. And so I know the 3 of us on our team who are talking about that and coming up with some extensive plans to make sure that that's a safe environment. I don't know if either of you want to comment on that, except for to say we know we're working on it and it will be, settled when you get here, but anything to add, either of you? Yeah, Marianne, go ahead.
So I think one thing to know about SU that is fairly unique in the higher ed space is that we do all of our own food services. So we do not contract out to an outside company to do this. All of the employees of our catering and dining are SU employees. And what that does for us in a lot of ways is gives us more control over the environment. So we make all the food on site, distribute it. So we're able to very quickly make decisions about what's right for your students and what's right and for our students and what's right for the faculty and staff, and then put that into place. We don't have an extra layer of going through an outside company. And so in terms of dining, we will have the dining centers open. There will likely be places to stay, places to sit. But there will be distancing, just like is happening in restaurants around the country right now. And the good thing is we still have some time to see the best practices that are coming out of the restaurant industry, and we're watching those very, very closely. We will also have, and this is part of what Amanda was talking about with, this pandemic creating things that we probably should be doing anyway. Our students have been asking for more grab and go options to use for their meal plans for a little bit, because they're on the run. We have very busy and active students who don't necessarily want to sit down in a dining center for an hour and just, chat. They want to grab something and go to a club meeting or grab something between classes. So the grab and go options will be high quality, high value, and well throughout campus. So my guess is that we'll create some systems that we try this semester that stay for a very long time at the university.
Marian, thanks so much for that. Okay, so we talked about that. Couple questions here about Family Weekend and Orange Central, which is our homecoming program. I know we're talking about Family Weekend and how to make that experience still personable but slightly different. So Marianne, do you mind just making a quick comment about what we're looking at for that?
Happy to. One thing I do want to let you know is that we will not be planning an in-person family weekend this year. The risk, as Amanda was talking about, with bringing people outside, and this is what really worked for us in the spring after we ended residential classes. Lots of students ended up having to stay with us for various reasons. We have not had any cases. And part of that is we went with this theory that once you're in our bubble, you are in our bubble. And we're not letting you leave our bubble and come back to our bubble, and we're not bringing people into our bubble and then jumping out of our bubble. So it will be a shortened residential semester, ending before Thanksgiving. But it's not, it wouldn't be wise for us to bring that many people into our bubble. This is another one of those necessity brings invention, or whatever the thing is that we've wanted to create better virtual parent sessions anyway, because we have parents from all over the world, and it is not easy to get to Syracuse, a month right after you dropped your student off. For some people it's wonderful, but for a lot, they feel like they're really missing out. And so we will do a virtual family weekend. I don't have the details on that right now at all, but I do want you to know that you probably shouldn't be planning to come again for that.
Thank you, Marianne. I'm sorry, I'm still trying to look at all the questions. So the similar thing, I think they're trying to figure out what to do with Orange Central, but it's likely going to look a similar model. And so, that's a space we don't have, decided yet, but more to come. We will continue to communicate as we have more information. Just continuing to read, I think there are still a few more questions about housing in terms of, will the students be still still living in traditional double rooms, with their roommate? So perhaps we could comment on that as well. And then also a little bit more about leaving campus. So Marianne, you were talking a little bit about kind of keeping our family together on campus, and that's part of why we're going home at Thanksgiving and not coming back. But we do have some questions about coming home for religious holidays and stuff like that. So maybe just let's talk a little bit about both of those things. I can start with the housing. Amanda and Marianne, correct me if I'm wrong, but right now we are planning that the students are a family unit and they will still be placed in a typical residence hall room with a roommate like we have always done. Anything else we want to add about that?
I would just say that we explored the idea of only doing singles on campus. And this is one of those, and you guys are going to think that I just use tired metaphors and similes all the time, but we had to do 4 sides of a triangle to get to the idea that we needed to keep it in the same way that we have done, because students do need some interaction. And they do need a buddy to go through this first year experience with, and that roommate relationship is so, so important. And it's going to be part of what, gets them through the semester in a happy way. We obviously are anticipating that we will have more students than usual request singles because of various immune system or other medical issues. So we are planning on, with a partnership with the Office of Disability Services and the Housing Office, that if we do have an increase in those requests that we need to fulfill, that we will be ready to do that. We also are encouraging students to talk to their roommates about how they will live together in that space. That's a good idea anyway. And we really push roommate contracts and those conversations But those will be even more important this year. So we also got guidance from our medical director at the university that honestly, the single thing wouldn't keep people that much more safe, because they're going to be touching door handles. They're going to be, you know, going in and out of a bathroom, those sorts of things. So it was too much of a compromise on the student experience for not that much, if any, gain on the medical side. So I don't know if that makes sense, but we absolutely did explore it because it seemed like the silver bullet in the beginning. And then once we operationalized it, it didn't make sense.
I can jump in on the traveling thing, and I think this is a tough pill, but we're going to discourage traveling on and off campus as much as possible for students. We do, however, understand that many students need to go home for holidays and various other things like the Jewish high holidays. There's no way we're going to stop students from going home for those. What we're probably going to do, though, is make sure that they're tested or screened as soon as they come back on. So, but we'll figure out a system for that. We will ask students to sign up and tell us where they're going, and we're going to try and monitor it as best we can. We certainly don't want to run a prison camp here. That is not our mantra at all. But at the same time, we have to keep everybody safe. So it's a balancing act. And we want to make sure that the students are well aware of what's required of them before they come. We would hate any student listening tonight or any parent to come on campus and feel that they had no idea that these things were going to be in place, that they had no idea they were going to be required to wear a mask. Then we would have failed you, because we need to tell you these things up front, because it's important. It's the only way we or any other school, by the way, is going to be able to operate. This is not an SU thing. This is across the country. There are dozens of schools talking every day, swapping information and what we consider our best practices on how to open up a campus and keep all of us safe. That's our #1 priority. And right below that is and engaged and happy, right? So it's like trying to do the two things together. But traveling, generally discouraged, but totally understand that some of it's going to happen, but we'll probably be tracking it and testing students as they return to make sure that they are well before we put them back onto campus with their roommates.
Thank you both for that. We did have a question about the Barn Center at the Arch being open in the fall. Of course, our medical facility, you know, it's wonderful because it's one wellness center. So the medical facility obviously will be open. I think right now we're looking at the rest of our recreation side and looking at what we can have open, still meeting state and county regulations. Matt Hackett, who is our director of recreation, is wonderful and has been spending a significant amount of time looking at that issue. So the answer is yes, and to what extent we are still working on it. Let's see. A lot of questions.
The only thing, Carrie,
yes,
I
Marianne,
want to jump
sorry.
in on that a little bit, is that we really recognize the interplay between maintaining health and mental health and physical health and being healthy through a global pandemic. And so it is really, and the Barn Center has continued to be open for virtual counseling appointments, medical appointments, all of those things throughout all of this, and has had actually very high volume. And so I think it's really important that you continue to prioritize mental and physical health through this and when we start the fall. And the Barn Center will be absolutely partners in that.
Marianne, thanks for that. I think that's a really important point to add. And then I don't want to put you all on the spot, but I know that telemedicine, telecounseling has certainly become, you know, a new emergent thing, and our Barn Center staff are making use of that. Have we talked about continuing that for options for students who are, you know, continuing to try and maintain social distancing but still want to access our services?
Absolutely. We will still do virtual appointments. And again, that may be one of those things that ends up being a best practice anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We invested in the Zoom technology, has more confidentiality, have worked through all of that this summer, so that it really is the best of the best to be able to deliver highly sensitive services to our students.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I'm like feverishly typing. I hate that I can't answer every single one of these questions individually. A couple questions about the academic calendar. So I was just pulling it up here. You know, so we're ending residential instruction right before Thanksgiving. We're going to conclude online, you know, still finish the classes, take exams. And then right now we are scheduled to come to campus in January, which would be Saturday, the 16th. 2021, January 16th. So there's been some questions about that. So right now there are no plans, and Amanda, you know, catch me if I'm wrong, but the spring semester is to start as planned. And of course, if there's any changes of that, we would communicate as quickly as possible. I think the return at Thanksgiving is more, you know, people returning to their family units to stay home and stay safe together and come back in January. Amanda, I don't know if there's anything else that would be helpful to add about that.
This is something that we looked at right at the beginning. The fact is that by moving it up a week, we've actually only lost 2 days of instruction. It's almost nothing. And we're going to put exams and review sessions online after Thanksgiving. What we're hearing, and of course we don't have a crystal ball, but what we're hearing and what people are saying, that if a second wave hits, it's likely to hit towards the end of November when flu season starts, right? So if we stuck to our original calendar, we'd have all our students, or not all, most of our students going home or going to somebody's home for Thanksgiving, right? And then coming back to us just as these things might be ramping up again. From many of them from major urban cities, which have been the centers of the pandemic. It just looked like so many risk factors all cobbled together. The thought was, how can we make that safer? So, and a few other schools have done it, but we were looking at, well, supposing we pulled it earlier, as Marianne was saying, you know, we actually have a lovely summer. I know everyone's gripes about the Syracuse weather all the time, but the summer here is lovely. So how about we pull it earlier, take advantage of good weather and being outside for at least the first 6 weeks or so, which should be no problem. And then run right up to Thanksgiving, send our students home. They can have a break over Thanksgiving and then do their finals that week after. There'll be some reading days in there, but they don't have to come back and forth and move in and out again and all the rest of it. And every time you do that, your risk factor goes up. So that was the kind of rationale for doing this, frankly, to make it easier on the students, the parents, and safer for everybody.
Amanda, thanks. So we have a couple questions that are coming up, and I think you guys talked a little bit about our facilities team, who are amazing, by the way. The folks who run our residence halls and our campus facilities are just wonderful partners. And there's questions about how we're cleaning campus. How are we keeping on track with that? I know that is a constant conversation, and looking at both the residence halls, questions specifically about the bathrooms, and then our campus facilities and classrooms. I think we touched on it, but Amanda, is there anything else you'd like to comment about that?
I think I'm going to bounce this over to Marianne a little bit.
Okay.
I think we're aware that we're going to have to do cleaning probably at a more frequent and deeper level than we've ever done it before. We're talking about providing cleaning supplies in every room for all the students so that they can clear their spaces frequently. We're talking about probably increasing the frequency of bathroom cleaning. I think just a lot of cleaning is going to go on. I'm just going to tell you, because I think that seems to be an important and good safeguard. And I'll hand it over to Marianne.
Yeah, I would say, you know, I wish that I could give you the detail right now of it's cleaned this many times a day regularly. Now it's going to be blah, blah, blah. That's the type of detail that we're going to get to throughout the summer. But the principle has been established that we will do what needs to happen to keep the university safe and clean. And certainly the guidance is, and this is from anywhere you read, it's the mask thing, it's the social distancing thing, and it's the keeping the spaces and your hands clean. And so we will set ourselves up for success there. especially in our high density areas like residence halls. The cleaning of the residence halls and specifically the bathrooms is an absolute high priority. And that's why we're gonna do walkthroughs with our health team and our communications team to literally every residence hall to come up with building specific recommendations of things that need to change. Things like we moved from paper towel dispensers to the dryer things for environmental reasons. Well, we probably got to go back to the paper towels for this year because that is cleaner. So again, we will do those walkthroughs, make the changes that we need to make to the buildings and absolutely clean them. And then it stands what I said earlier about dining services being our own internal team. It's the same with our facilities teams. And again, a lot of schools outsource that. It's not outsourced at Syracuse. So those are Syracuse University employees. The same person that oversees the dome oversees facilities, and he has a high standard of quality. And so I have no doubt that we will make sure that we are keeping these facilities as clean as possible. And again, we'll ask students to be partners in that. So this is their space, this is their home. And for the parents on the call or on the Zoom, you've been working with them to keep their spaces clean for a long time. We will continue that battle and work on the shared agreements, again, with the floor communities, roommate agreements, because cleanings can only do so much if we don't take care of our homes.
Thank you. I'm only smiling a little bit because Marianne's referring to Pete Sala, who is our Vice President of Facilities. He oversees everything from the stadium to the residence halls, and he's somewhat of an urban legend on campus. Students love him. There's lots of memes that say not all heroes wear capes. And he sends emails to campus, so everyone really looks forward to hearing from Pete, but he really is dynamite with all he does, and so we're in good hands with him and his team for sure. A little bit different topic, but still talking about health and safety. There's a lot of questions here about flu shots. I think Dr. Haney did mention today about getting flu shots and asking if we're going to have them available. So I don't want to speak out of turn, but it's my understanding that we will be able to have flu shot clinics available on campus at the start of the year. Amanda, do you have any additional details?
I'm never quite sure when they bring out flu shots. It seems to be a slightly different date each year, but if they've not been widely available before you come, we'll have them. Having a flu shot for everybody is very important because the two diseases can easily be confused. And that's the real reason you need a flu shot, so that if you start showing strong flu-like symptoms and you've had a flu shot, you're far more at risk of having COVID than if you haven't. So that's why it's necessary. And anyway, it's just a good idea. Even though all 18-year-olds are Peter Pan, we still would like to keep them healthy. so the flu shot is highly recommended, and we're going to make that like a sort of like the MMR that everybody has to have before they go to school. I think to kindergarten. That's going to be something that we will require. And if they're not widely available, we'll certainly do them.
Yes, I believe that the Barnstable at the Arts team are working hard to make sure that they have those at a higher level to address that. So we appreciate that question. I think we really only have time for a couple more, but a couple themed questions about students going off campus, right? So we wanted everyone to kind of stay home and stay together, but we still, when the restaurants open up, because we hope that they will, we have great restaurants in Syracuse, or the mall is a really great place for students to go and kind of spend some downtime. So families are just asking, is that okay? Can we still go to the mall? Can we still go to Armory Square and get off campus a little bit? Like, how are we going to advise students about that? So I just don't know if you guys want to comment on that. We don't want people to stay in their rooms, locked down. And you should still experience these great things in the city. But I don't know, Marianne and Amanda, if you want to comment on that.
I'm happy to speak to it. We consider our county and our city as very much a part of ourselves. So that we are citizens of Onondaga County, of Syracuse as a city. And it's important that our students feel that connection when they come to campus. And so I don't believe that we will be in a place where we are, gating people around the university. We have a lot of students who live off campus and various parts of the city. I saw a question in the Q&A about, can you have an off-campus job? Absolutely. I mean, and as Amanda started out earlier saying, our region is very, very clean and clear here. So obviously there are cases, but it's pretty minimal. And that's why we need to be good stewards of our region with making sure that we're bringing people back safely and that we're treating the area with respect. But we want our students to experience our area and to feel a part of our community. It's a value that's important to us.
And, you know, similarly, we did just pop up a question. Well, we have a lot of questions about fraternity and sorority life, so maybe we could answer that in a second. But how are we wanting students to visit each other in their residence halls? You know, it's pretty common, you know, for students to visit, you know, from one residence hall to the other. And so there have been some questions about how we're navigating that.
So that's not been decided yet. We have a guest policy right now. The only thing that I can guarantee for you is that it will be different than it was last year. So we will likely not be allowing outside guests into the residence halls throughout the semester. We may not allow students up into the residential floors of a residence hall, but allow them in the first floor lobby space, playing with all of this. So, you know, this is part of that tension with the mask thing. If we say that you don't have to wear a mask when you're walking down the floor in your residence hall because it's your home, then we probably will be more restrictive on guests. So we're weighing all of those tensions. I'll go on mute because my dog is going nuts.
Yeah, I don't know how Miriam feels. I'm very lucky that a 7 and 12-year-old have not come screaming into the room looking for something. I'm sure you can all empathize at home. I have also somehow supposed to learn how to teach both 7th and 1st grade math. I mean, I know we're all kind of in an interesting situation. Oh, there's Marianne's dog. So that's to be navigated. And I think we talked about this, but we also are working to provide you with a social contract of how all this is going to work and what your student commitment is going to be to keeping the community healthy and safe. And we're working hard on that, and we'll have it available for students upon arrival. But I can't reiterate enough how much time and care we're looking at all of these specific things just to make sure that under these unique circumstances, you have the best first year experience and family experience that you can have. I'm wondering if the closing question, because I think we're about out of time, but there's a lot of questions about how this is going to impact fraternity and sorority life. So first, a reminder that incoming students don't participate in any recruitment processes as a first year student. We need to spend some time looking at what our recruitment process is going to look like in January, because that's when it typically takes place. So a lot of time is going to be looking at that. I don't want to infer people are asking anything about parties, but social events, I think we're really asking people to pay attention to that small gathering 10-person limit. I think that's going to be part of our social contract with so more to come on that, because I think that it just encompasses our campus community, right? What do social gatherings look like? What do events look like? So we're spending a lot of time looking at all of those things. I guess I'd like to close with a few things here. Please spend some time on our website, firstyear.syr.edu. Answers to a lot of these like logistical tasky items are all there. But I also want to let you know that myself and my team are very available to answer all of your questions. I think the slide is up here that shows our email addresses. I've also included my office phone number up here. I'm very proud of us. We were able to get our system up and running so we can all answer our phones from home from our computer. So if you call my office, you will get somebody who picks up the phone. And if we don't get you, we will call you right back, I promise you. So please feel free to reach out to us. And Amanda and Marianne, I hope you don't mind if I've shared your email as well. Do you have any closing thoughts that you'd like to share with our students and families before we go tonight?
I'd just like to say one thing, that I know there's one of the worst things in life is living in ambiguity, which is where we are now, right? You know, you really want to have firm answers to what would normally be very simple questions, and we can't necessarily give them. Please don't think it's because we're trying to hedge. It's because we don't want to say things that we're not sure are correct yet. I'm saying it's not because, oh, you know, they're not telling us. That's not true. We're going to have a lot of these, I'm calling them town halls. I don't know what this is advertised at, through the summer. And as we get more information, we're going to continue to communicate. As soon as we know something, we want to get it out to you. We're not trying to hide anything. We want you to know exactly what to expect from the parent side and from the student side. We don't want you to have any surprises, and we do want to work as hard as we can to make sure we are communicating, because I think the lack of knowledge is where people fill the void with things that are often just incorrect. And the academy has a tendency, and I've been in it for many years, to wait until it's got everything perfect before it sends something out. Well, what we're telling you is we don't have everything perfect yet, but we're getting, we've got the skeleton, and now we're putting some flesh onto this thing so that we can figure out how to do it. We have to work with the county. We have to work with the state. There are all kinds of legal issues involved in here. We want to do this right. We're working very hard to do it right, but I think the three of us that are talking to I don't know how many of you, oh, this is terrifying, there's 400 and something of you, but the three of us do understand students, and we do understand families, and we do know what you're going through. So please contact us with questions, concerns, and we will, as soon as we know something definite, I promise you, we will tell you. And we will be telling you things during the summer to make this picture fuller as we work through all the issues. And, as this disease tells us more about what can and cannot be done, because we're finding things out, frankly, on almost a weekly basis.
Marianne, any closing goodbyes from you?
Yeah, I would just say we're so excited to meet you, families and students. This is why we work at universities, is because we love you, and we love you even before we met you. So we can't wait to get to know you. Hopefully we can do that a bit over the summer. And we are in this together. We want this to be an amazing college first semester, and it will be. I promise you that. We're figuring out what it'll look like, but I promise it will be wonderful. And do reach out to us with any, I would rather you email us a question than lose an hour of sleep. So communicate with us. And the last thing I'd say, and this is just a general piece of advice I would say as a dean of students, is have conversations as a family about what your expectations are in the fall. About what your expectations are about attending parties, whether or not, maybe we say they aren't really available, but they might be available. Have that conversation together as a family. Have conversations about communication back and forth. Washing hands conversations, all of these things, how much you're going to study conversations. The more communication up front, the better. It will pay you off in spades a month down the line. So, and I'm happy to guide anyone through those conversations.
Thanks you both. And I guess I'll just end by adding too, I appreciate what Marianne said. We're still so excited for you to come, right? This is just a really new environment for all of us. My job at the university is literally to welcome you. That is my role. And so my team and I are going to still roll out the orange carpet for you under these unique circumstances. So we look forward to seeing you. Please reach out. And I'm really thrilled that over 400 of you could spend your evening with us. So thank you all so much, Amanda and Miriam. Thank you. Thank you to the team from admissions for hosting us, and Mike for guiding us through the technology. And we're excited to see you all in August. Thanks so much.
Goodbye.